Have you ever looked at a Virgo and wondered, why are they so impossible to control? Why do they always seem calm, steady, and untouchable, even when everything around them is falling apart? Is it strength? Is it pride? Or is there something deeper going on inside? Here's a surprising truth: Virgos aren't just independent. They are wired, both emotionally and psychologically, to protect their inner world at all costs. Behind every decision, every careful word, every quiet moment, there's a reason. A reason that most people never see. In this video, we're going to explore 18 hidden reasons why nobody can control a Virgo. And I promise you, this isn't just about zodiac signs. This is about understanding human nature, emotions, behavior, the silent battles happening inside every independent soul. Even if you're not a Virgo, what you'll discover today might just change the way you understand yourself and the people around you. So, before we dive deep, take a second to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who needs a little insight into the mysterious Virgo mind. Because what you're about to hear goes far beyond astrology. Are you ready? Let's begin. Have you ever noticed how Virgos always seem one step ahead of life? Not just in their actions, but in the way they think, feel, and protect themselves. It's not by accident. Virgos are designed, almost programmed, you could say, to create order in a world that feels chaotic. Their attention to every little detail isn't just a personality trait. It's a survival tool. Imagine living every day with a constant fear, not of danger, but of disorder. For Virgos, unpredictability feels like a threat. That's why they arrange their surroundings, double-check their plans, and overthink every word before they say it. It's their way of keeping life under control. Not because they're rigid, but because chaos makes them feel unsafe deep inside. Think of a Virgo you know. Maybe they always keep their desk perfectly organized. Or maybe they're the type who plans a trip down to every last detail. You might think they're just being picky. But the truth? That's how they feel safe. That's how they protect their minds from spinning into anxiety. Their need for control comes from a deep-rooted fear of losing stability. And when you understand that, you start seeing their actions not as perfectionism, but as a quiet battle against uncertainty. But it doesn't stop there. Virgos aren't just trying to control their environment. They're constantly trying to control themselves. They hold themselves to impossibly high standards. Every mistake? They remember it. Every shortcoming? They replay it in their minds. While the world might think they're doing fine, inside, Virgos are on a never-ending quest to fix, improve, and become better. Not for praise, not for approval, but because deep down, they believe they're never enough as they are. It's sad, in a way, but also inspiring, because that inner drive pushes them to grow in ways most people never will. Have you ever felt that urge to be perfect? To prove, not to others, but to yourself, that you can do more? That's the Virgo spirit living inside all of us. And if you're a Virgo, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But here's the catch. This endless self-improvement makes Virgos almost immune to outside influence. Why? Because they're already their own harshest critics. If someone tries to push them, it won't work. They've already pushed themselves harder than anyone else could. This brings us to something deeper. Virgos don't trust easily. Not because they're cold or distant, but because trust, for them, is a door to vulnerability. And being vulnerable means giving up control. That's why they analyze everyone, every word, every action. They're not looking for reasons to distrust. They're looking for proof that they're safe to let their guard down. Imagine how exhausting that must be. Living each day watching people closely, trying to decide who's genuine and who's not. But for Virgos, it's necessary. It's their way of protecting their inner world. Until someone proves they're honest and stable, a Virgo will keep their heart locked tight. It's not about rejection. It's about self-preservation. So, how do you earn a Virgo's trust? It's simple. Be consistent. Be honest. And most of all, be patient. Because once they let you in, you'll discover a person who is fiercely loyal, incredibly thoughtful, and endlessly caring. But they need time. They need to know they can rely on you. Not just once, but always. Now, let's talk about emotions. Have you ever met someone who seems calm, even in the most emotional moments? Chances are, you've met a Virgo. They don't let emotions control them. At least, not on the surface. While others react, Virgos reflect. It's not that they don't feel deeply. In fact, they feel everything. But they process their emotions like they solve problems, methodically, carefully, and in private. Showing emotions feels risky. It feels like losing control. That's why they often intellectualize their feelings, turning sadness into analysis, turning heartbreak into quiet reflection. It's how they keep themselves safe from emotional chaos. If you're someone who feels everything and shows it immediately, this might sound cold. But for Virgos, it's their survival strategy. And it's something we can all learn from. The next time you're overwhelmed by emotions, try stepping back. Analyze. Reflect. Give yourself space to think before reacting. You might find clarity, just like a Virgo does. In everyday life, this emotional control is a superpower. Virgos can stay calm in crises, think clearly under pressure, and help others find their balance too. But there's a downside. Sometimes, they suppress emotions too much. They bottle things up, believing that staying strong means staying silent. If you're a Virgo listening now, remember this: showing emotion isn't weakness. It's human. And letting others see your heart can be the bravest thing you do. For everyone else, understand that when a Virgo stays quiet, it doesn't mean they don't care. It means they're processing. Give them space. And when they're ready, they'll open up. Not because you demanded it, but because they trust you. In these hidden layers, the fear of chaos, the hunger for self-improvement, the cautious trust, and the intellectualized emotions, you find the true reason why nobody can control a Virgo. Because their entire life is about mastering themselves first. Their independence isn't a wall. It's a carefully built foundation. And if you respect that, you'll find one of the most stable, loyal, and insightful people by your side. Not because you controlled them, but because you understood them. And that makes all the difference. Let's keep exploring what makes Virgo such a mystery to the world, and sometimes even to themselves. If you've ever seen a Virgo back away from a situation that felt too emotional or chaotic, it's not because they don't care. It's because, deep down, they crave authenticity. And anything that feels superficial, rushed, or forced triggers their inner alarm. Virgos have this silent radar that picks up on fakeness. Whether it's a conversation that feels too shallow, a promise that sounds too good to be true, or even a friendship that lacks depth, they feel it immediately. It's not something they can turn off. For a Virgo, depth equals safety. Logic equals trust. So when people approach them with empty flattery or vague ideas, Virgos instinctively pull back. But think about why. In a world full of quick conversations and surface-level relationships, Virgos are quietly searching for something real. A connection that feels solid. A person who shows consistency, not just charm. This is where many misunderstand them. People might label Virgos as cold or overly critical. But in reality, they're simply searching for depth in a world that often feels too shallow. If you know a Virgo, or you are one, remember this: it's okay to expect depth. But sometimes, it's also okay to let people surprise you. Not everyone reveals their truth right away. Patience might uncover the depth you've been looking for. Now, think about how Virgos make decisions. Have you ever waited for a Virgo to choose something? It can feel like forever. But that's not indecision. It's precision. Virgos analyze every choice. They weigh every outcome. They imagine every possible mistake before they move forward. Why? Because they fear the chaos of getting it wrong. Their patience isn't laziness, it's protection. By slowing down, they create control. They reduce risk. They protect their peace. This can frustrate those around them. Maybe you've tried to rush a Virgo before. Tried to get them to make a quick choice. To trust their gut, to go with the flow. But rushing a Virgo is like shaking a snow globe. All the calm disappears. Their mind spins. And instead of clarity, you get resistance. The best thing to do? Give them space. Trust their process. Because when a Virgo finally decides, you can be sure it's the right choice for them. And when you think about it, isn't that something we all need sometimes? Permission to slow down. To think. To choose our own path, without pressure. What's even more fascinating is that Virgos often choose solitude. But not because they're antisocial. They crave solitude because that's where they feel in control. When they're alone, they're safe. There are no sudden conversations. No unpredictable emotions from others. Just quiet. Just space to think. For a Virgo, solitude isn't loneliness. It's peace. Maybe you've felt that too. That urge to step back from the noise of the world. To recharge where no one expects anything from you. Virgos live in that space more often than most. It's their reset button. But here's where it gets deeper. Virgos don't just want control over their environment. They seek control over their emotions. Not to suppress them, but to understand them. Picture this, while others express their feelings out loud, Virgos sit quietly and analyze theirs like solving a puzzle. They ask themselves, why am I feeling this? Where did it come from? What can I do about it? For them, emotions are problems to solve, not waves to ride. It's a quiet process. Invisible to the outside world. And that's why people often assume Virgos don't feel deeply. But the truth is, they feel everything. They just process differently. Think about your own life. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by emotions? The sudden rush of anger. The unexpected sadness. What if, instead of reacting, you paused and tried to understand your feelings first? Like a Virgo does. It doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. It means respecting them enough to listen before you act. Virgos have mastered this. And while it protects them, it also isolates them. Because while they're analyzing, the world waits for a response that never comes. If you're close to a Virgo, remember, silence doesn't mean distance. Sometimes, it's them protecting their inner peace. And if you are a Virgo, here's a thought for you. Emotions aren't puzzles to be solved. Sometimes, they're just meant to be felt. Let yourself feel without always needing to understand. It might feel strange at first. Vulnerable. But vulnerability isn't failure. It's freedom. All these patterns, the rejection of superficiality, the need for patience, the comfort in solitude, and the intellectualization of emotions, come from the same place, a Virgo's deep desire to protect their inner world. They don't want to block people out. They just want to avoid the chaos that comes from letting the wrong people in. And as we keep going, prepare yourself. Because the next insights reveal something even more powerful about Virgo. Why their independence is not just a personality trait, but a form of quiet, relentless self-defense. The last 3 reasons might just challenge everything you thought you knew about this mysterious sign. Now, let's look deeper into something most people never notice about Virgos. Their honesty. Not the kind of honesty that's meant to hurt, but the kind that reveals who they really are inside. Virgos value truth more than comfort. They'd rather face something painful than pretend everything's fine. And that's why they're so hard to manipulate. Lies don't sit well with them. They can sense dishonesty from miles away. Not because they're suspicious, but because they've trained themselves to spot what doesn't add up. It's like a silent filter in their minds. If something feels off, they won't ignore it. They'll investigate quietly, carefully, until they know what's real. Have you ever tried to sugarcoat something for a Virgo? Maybe you softened the truth to avoid hurting them. And then, later, they told you they already knew. That's the Virgo instinct. They don't want sweet words. They want honesty. Because to them, lies feel like losing control. And if they lose control over what's true, they feel lost. But it's not just about spotting lies. It's about protecting their sense of reality. Virgos need to know where they stand. With themselves. And with others. So when someone tries to deceive them, their first reaction isn't anger. It's sadness. Sadness that someone thought they needed to be lied to. If you care about a Virgo, remember this. Honesty is your bridge to their heart. Even if the truth is uncomfortable, they'll respect you more for telling it. At the same time, Virgos have a way of planning that most people overlook. While others react, Virgos predict. They map out what might happen. Not because they're pessimistic, but because they feel safer when they're prepared. It's like building an emotional safety net. Life feels less overwhelming when they've thought ahead. But behind this habit is something deeper. It's their fear of being caught off guard. Being surprised. Being vulnerable. That's why they overthink sometimes. Why they prepare for problems that may never come. It's not worry. It's self-protection. Maybe you've seen this in your own life. That friend who always has a backup plan. The person who checks everything twice before taking a step. It might look like control. But inside, it's about calming their anxiety. Virgos use logic to manage fear. Their mind needs a map to avoid emotional chaos. And this is something we can learn from. When life feels out of control, planning helps. Think of your future not as a place of fear, but as a space where you can build security. Just like Virgos do, step by careful step. But this control over their emotions isn't just about preparation. It's also about discipline. Virgos are masters of emotional self-regulation. You might see them in moments of crisis, staying calm while others fall apart. It's not because they don't feel the fear. It's because they're focused on managing it. They've taught themselves, over years, to control their reactions. To stay balanced when emotions run high. And while that sounds like strength, and it is, it can also become a cage. Because when you're always the calm one, people forget you might be struggling inside. Virgos often carry that quiet burden. They feel they can't break down. That showing emotion would mean losing control. But here's the truth. Emotions aren't enemies. They're signals. They're part of life. If you're a Virgo, remember that letting someone see your fear or sadness doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And if you're close to a Virgo, don't assume their calm means they're fine. Sometimes, their silence is where they're hurting most. Another hidden trait? Their preference for methodical routines. To others, this might look like being rigid. But for Virgos, routines are rituals of peace. Every task they plan. Every habit they repeat. It's not just efficiency. It's therapy. Life feels safer when there's structure. Routines create a rhythm. A pattern that quiets the noise of uncertainty. Maybe you've felt this too. That strange calm when you follow your morning routine. When you organize your space and suddenly, your mind feels lighter. Virgos live in that space. It's how they ground themselves. When their emotions feel overwhelming, they turn to structure. They clean. They organize. They plan. Not to control the world, but to calm their own chaos inside. This behavior can seem confusing from the outside. Why would someone focus on small tasks when life feels so heavy? But for Virgos, it's their anchor. Their way of saying, I can't control everything, but I can control this. And that control gives them the strength to face the bigger storms. It's a reminder to all of us. When life feels out of control, start small. Find your rhythm again. Focus on what you can manage. Even the smallest routine can bring clarity to a scattered mind. At this point, you might be realizing something deeper about Virgos. Their independence isn't just a personality trait. It's a strategy. A way to protect their peace. A way to hold on to themselves in a world that often tries to pull people in every direction. But there's still more. Because the next part of this journey will reveal something even more powerful. The final 3 reasons why nobody can control a Virgo. And trust me, these last insights might change the way you understand not just Virgos, but the very idea of control itself. Stay with me. What comes next may be the most personal, and the most surprising, of all. There's something subtle about Virgos that many people overlook. It's their need for autonomy. Their deep desire to live life on their own terms. This isn't just about wanting space or time alone. It's much deeper than that. For Virgos, autonomy is personal freedom. It's the ability to make decisions without interference. To choose their own path without feeling trapped by the expectations of others. And if you try to take that freedom from them, even in small ways, they'll resist you. Not with loud arguments, but with quiet distance. They'll pull back, protect themselves, and rebuild their walls. This love of autonomy isn't stubbornness. It's self-respect. Virgos know that once they give someone else too much control, they lose themselves. Maybe you felt that too. That moment when someone else's plans started shaping your life. And you realized, too late, that you weren't living for yourself anymore. Virgos fight that moment before it even happens. They sense it coming. And that's why they're so hard to control. Because for them, control isn't a battle with others. It's a promise they made to themselves. To protect their freedom, no matter what. And when you look closer, you'll see something else. Virgos rely on facts more than feelings. Not because they don't feel, but because emotions can confuse them. They prefer clarity, logic, evidence. When a Virgo faces a choice, they'll ask themselves, what are the facts? What's real? What makes sense? Their mind works like a quiet calculator, weighing every option, searching for truth. Because deep down, emotions feel unpredictable. And unpredictability makes them anxious. But that doesn't mean they're cold or distant. In fact, many Virgos feel emotions more deeply than you'd expect. They just don't trust those feelings to guide their decisions. Think of it like this. While others dive into the waves of emotion, Virgos stand on the shore, watching carefully, calculating when it's safe to step in. It's their way of staying steady. Their way of protecting their peace. And maybe that's something we can all learn from. The next time your emotions feel overwhelming, pause. Look for the facts. Ask yourself, what's real? What's true? Give yourself the clarity Virgos seek naturally. It might help you find a way forward. Now, let's talk about boundaries. Virgos are experts at setting them. You might not notice it, but they know exactly where their limits are. And when someone crosses those limits, they act. Quietly, but firmly. Setting boundaries isn't easy for most people. It can feel uncomfortable. Maybe even selfish. But for Virgos, Boundaries are a form of self-care. A way to protect their energy, their time, their heart. Imagine this. You're having a busy week. Your energy is low. But a friend asks for help. And even though you're exhausted, you say yes. Sound familiar? Virgos struggle with that too. But over time, many of them learn that saying no isn't rejection. It's respect. Respect for themselves. Saying no creates space for what really matters. And Virgos understand this better than most. They've learned, sometimes the hard way, that giving too much of themselves leaves them drained. So they protect their space, their peace, and their independence. But if you're close to a Virgo, remember this. When they set a boundary, it's not to push you away. It's to protect their inner world. Respect that boundary, and you'll find yourself trusted even more. And here's something most people never realize about Virgos. They don't like to depend on anyone. Not because they don't trust others, but because dependence feels risky. For a Virgo, relying on someone else means giving up control. And control is how they protect their peace. That's why Virgos work so hard to be self-sufficient. Why they push themselves to handle things alone. It's not pride. It's safety. They believe that if they can meet their own needs, no one can hurt them. No one can disappoint them. No one can take their freedom away. But here's the truth. Even the strongest Virgo needs help sometimes. Needs support. Needs connection. If you're a Virgo, let this be your reminder. Independence is powerful. But connection is healing. Let people in. Not everyone wants to control you. Some people just want to care for you. And if you're close to a Virgo, understand their silence. Their refusal to ask for help. Sometimes, it's not because they don't trust you. It's because they're scared. Scared that needing you means losing themselves. Be patient. Be gentle. Let them know you're there, without forcing your way in. And when they finally ask for help, know that you've earned their trust. All these layers, their need for freedom, their love for logic, their strong boundaries, and their quiet independence, are the reasons why controlling a Virgo is nearly impossible. They've built their lives around protecting their sense of self. And if you push too hard, you'll lose them. But if you understand them, if you respect their need for space, you'll discover a loyalty and depth most people never get to see. And yet, there's still more. Because the final 3 truths about Virgo are not just insights. They're revelations. They'll show you why Virgos can be the most loving, and the most distant, the most honest, and the most guarded. Stay with me. The last part of this journey reveals the deepest, and perhaps most surprising, secrets hidden inside the Virgo mind. And now, we come to something many people misunderstand about Virgos. Their honesty. Not the simple, everyday honesty of answering a question directly, but a deeper, almost brutal honesty. A Virgo's truth-telling is not meant to hurt. It's their way of setting the world straight, of keeping life clear and organized in a way their minds can handle. When they feel someone is trying to manipulate them, even slightly, their instinct is to expose the truth. Calmly, directly, and sometimes relentlessly. Imagine someone trying to deceive a Virgo, using flattery or half-truths. It rarely works, because Virgos aren't listening for compliments. They're listening for logic. They'll notice what you didn't say. They'll spot the inconsistency in your story. They'll hear the subtle hesitation in your voice. And once they sense dishonesty, they don't stay silent. They call it out. Not to shame you, but to protect themselves. And perhaps, to protect you from your own lies. Their honesty can be confronting, even uncomfortable. But it's also a form of care. They believe truth is necessary. That living in denial or pretending to be someone you're not is the real danger. So when a Virgo challenges you, don't take it as judgment. See it as an invitation. To be real. To be honest. First with them. And then with yourself. Because Virgo honesty isn't about control. It's about freedom. The freedom that comes from seeing things as they truly are. No matter how difficult that truth might be. And finally, we arrive at one of Virgo's greatest strengths. Their discipline over their emotions. Not the cold, detached discipline of someone who doesn't feel. But the quiet, practiced discipline of someone who feels deeply and chooses to process rather than react. When life overwhelms others, when emotions rise like waves too big to handle, Virgo stays still. Not because they don't feel, but because they've trained themselves to pause. To think. To step back before being swept away. This emotional discipline protects them. It allows them to think clearly when everything else feels confusing. It gives them power over their own reactions. Which means others cannot easily control or manipulate them. While others lash out or break down, Virgo stays composed. And in that stillness, they find clarity. But there's a hidden side to this strength. Because always being calm, always being in control, can become exhausting. Virgos sometimes forget that it's okay to feel without fixing. That it's okay to express pain without understanding it first. If you're a Virgo, remember this. Emotions don't need to be solved. They need to be felt. Let yourself soften. Let yourself be seen. And if you're close to a Virgo, never mistake their calm for invulnerability. Sometimes, behind the steady voice and thoughtful words, there's a heart carrying more than it shows. Be the safe space they rarely ask for. In the end, all these traits we've explored, they aren't barriers that make Virgos cold or distant. They're the quiet systems Virgos build to protect their fragile, beautiful inner world. A world they only share with those who earn their trust. And maybe, that's what makes knowing a Virgo so special. Because when you're let in, when they finally open that door, you know it wasn't by accident. It wasn't because they needed you. It's because they chose you. So, if you saw yourself in these words today, or maybe saw someone you care about, take a moment to reflect. Are you protecting your peace, or isolating yourself from connection? Are you setting healthy boundaries, or pushing people away? These questions matter. And perhaps, the answers will help you understand your own inner world. Just like a Virgo tries to understand theirs. If this video made you pause, made you feel seen, then I invite you to subscribe. Join this space where we explore not just astrology, but the quiet, hidden patterns inside all of us. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Someone who might be silently protecting their own heart right now. And don't forget, this is only one part of the story. There's so much more to discover. In future videos, we'll go even deeper into the minds and hearts of every sign, uncovering the secrets we rarely talk about. So, stay curious. Stay kind. And I'll see you in the next video.